Okay, well, thank you for joining Crow Canyon Software in presenting our Use Microsoft Teams Effectively Mini Summit. We are on our second webinar here with Gokan, who's going to be speaking on becoming a Microsoft Teams rockstar. So just real quickly, Crow Canyon Software is over 20 years in business, building software with Office 365 and SharePoint. We are a Microsoft preferred partner, and we are thrilled to be offering this really fast response to the COVID-19 outbreak, and because there's so many people working from home and such a huge usage of Microsoft Teams. And so we're lucky enough to have 3 MVPs and RDs with us who can speak to how for you and your organization to build forward your future as a remote worker and then perhaps back in the office. So anyway, Gokan, thanks so much for being with us, and I'll hand it off to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from the north to the south, to the west to the east. Welcome all to my session, Become Microsoft Teams Rockstar. I really hope you enjoyed Joel's first session about the vision and strategy about Teams, where I think he did a great job explaining how Microsoft is building the hub for collaboration for the coming years. This session is more focused on how really you can use Microsoft Teams. We're gonna have only like 10 slides. It's gonna be like 10 minutes, maybe even less, about what Teams is. And then it's gonna be 40 minutes of a deep dive demonstration of the capabilities and new experiences that you can have with Microsoft Teams. My name is Gokan Ozcifci. Don't try to say Ozcifci, it's way too complicated. Gokan is enough. I'm the only Gokan in the world doing SharePoint. This because they actually have written my name badly. There's missing a few words in my name, Gokan. I'm a Microsoft Regional Director and a former SharePoint, but now an Office Apps and Services MVP. There we go. If you ask me the question, what Microsoft Teams is, this is the slide that I really can share to you and say, Teams is a container that actually hosts and uses every single artifact of Office 365. It uses the SharePoint experience for storing the files. It uses the Dynamics platform for using Flow, Automate, Power Apps. It's using Planner for doing the plans, etc., etc. It uses Office 365 groups for the security model, the bot framework, shifts for coworkers, etc., etc. So we can say that Teams is a container for one single capability, one single experience, one single hub. It will help you adopt every single artifact within Office 365 very, very easily. If we deep dive into what Microsoft Teams is, this is a slide that I really love to show to my customers. Every Microsoft Teams that you create within the Microsoft 365 era will create an Office 365 group. And that group will automatically create a SharePoint site, a shared mailbox, and a OneNote notebook, which will help you to use the full experience of your Microsoft Teams, because the files will be stored in SharePoint, because you can use conversations and send emails or even getting emails from your Teams with the shared mailbox. You can take notes with OneNote, and still today we are, unfortunately, using Skype for Business because let me give you an example. For the PowerShell module as an example, for managing Teams with your PowerShell, you still need to use the Skype for Business artifacts in the backend. So that's what it is. Whenever you create a team, it creates all of those artifacts for you. But what you can do is also extend your experience and say like, okay, I'm gonna use Flow, Power App, Automate, Power BI, Dynamics 365, Planner, any XYZ stack into the Microsoft era and say, I'm gonna extend the experience. Or you can even go outside of the Microsoft ecosystem and go to Google, to Dropbox, to Amazon, to Adobe to get that data and bring them into Teams and collaborate on that data. And finally, you can build your own application to do stuff with Teams. If you take the example of the notification hub, you can build a service in Azure and bring notification to your mobile devices, or even use pipelines to monitor the experience in Microsoft Teams. So you can definitely do a lot of stuff with Microsoft Teams and its ecosystem around that. A little thing that I will not cover too much because Mike Madrano, which is an awesome speaker, will cover that topic, is the private channels. We know, and Mike will deep dive into that, is every private channel will create for you a separate SharePoint site, which also needs to be taken in consideration. We can do a lot with the SharePoint, with the private channel SharePoint site, but still it will have a lot of impact, and we will see, or Mike will definitely cover it in a few minutes. One of the questions I definitely always get is, Gokan, I want to back up my SharePoint, or my Teams. Is that possible? And this is the kind of question from the on-premises era, on-premises administrators, because they love to back up everything because they think it's secure. And I'm always responding like the classic consultant answer, it is possible, yes and no. It's because, as I mentioned, every single artifact that Teams is creating for you is actually consuming one of those microservices to work. And let me give you an example, and the one that I really love is the SharePoint one. We know that whenever you create a team, it creates a group, it will create a SharePoint site for you, and it will use the SharePoint site to store the team files. But if you have a one-to-one, well, then it uses the OneDrive experience to store the files. If you go for the Skype for Business, for the conversation as an example, if you have a one-to-one meeting or a broadcast meeting, you can save that through Stream. Well, it will go to Stream to encode that and bring that back into Teams. So there is no tool that can actually back up everything for you. You can do them one by one, but that's how the storage is done in Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is depending a lot of other applications because it uses every single artifact, every single microservice that is connected through Microsoft 365. Why is there a need for Microsoft Teams? Because we are all into the digital transformation era. We are all moving away from the legacy to the modern experiences. And if you want to build something, what Microsoft did, a hub for collaboration, well, it's complicated. Well, only the external user access, think just about that. It's way too complicated. On-premises, actually, it's complicated. Certificates, form-based authentication, VPN tokens. It's impossible to manage if you want to build something like the full power of Office 365. If you think about the cloud offerings, such as OneDrive, having 1 terabyte per user as cloud storage, thinking about the cloud innovations, such as AI and Delve, thinking about cloud transformations, such as Power Apps and Flow, and definitely the secure, scalable, and flexible hub for digital workplace. That's a need today. And that was a need, which I hope Teams will respond to that in your mind. If we just continue, Teams is not simply the best tool we have at Microsoft for collaboration. There is definitely reasons why it is, because it's extremely fast in provisioning new artifacts, new features to use. Take the example in a legacy environment, if a user just begins at the organization, well, we know he needs maybe 1 or 2 weeks to get 100% operational. Within Microsoft Teams, whenever you add a user, whenever you create a new team, everything is very fastly provisioned for you. You can add the intelligent bot ecosystem for replacing FAQs and HTML files. And what I really love with Teams is that you have an anytime, anywhere access. Unfortunately, today we still don't have an offline capability, which hopefully this will come this year or maybe next year. But whenever you have an internet connection, a browser, well, every file that you have on Teams become available. This is one of those things I really love. And this is one of the codes that I'm using more and more in my life. As the electric light didn't come up because of the improvement of Canvas, you had to change. You had to change, and you need to change as well from the legacy environment to the new one. And here are the news coming from Ignite that will be released soon or that already have been released. So one of them is the private channels. Again, I'm not going to go deep dive into that, but still a few words about private channels. Those have been released. You can use it. SharePoint is still the key factor. It is a separate site collection for you, which you cannot touch. You cannot touch that specific site collection. It has to be done only by Teams. You can have 30 private channels per team, which comes actually as an addition on the 200 channel per limit. This has been released. Something new is the multi-window capability that hopefully will come this year also to Teams. One of the biggest drawbacks with Teams is that you're forced to use everything from one screen, and that capability comes from the Skype experience. Hopefully, you will have the multi-window capability for chats, meeting, calls, and documents coming to Teams, where you'll be able to have multi-window usage and not being forced to use only one screen. Pin channels also released. If you're a member like me in 150 different teams and hundreds of channels, well, it's complicated to get focus on your work. What you can do is you can pin any channel to bring them into the pinned experience at top, something also coming from the SharePoint experience that has been released as well. Something new that hopefully will come is the sharing to Teams experience from Outlook. The biggest drawback with Outlook today is that whenever you get an email from your CEO, your CTO, is you can forward that email, you can reply all to that email, and you don't have the real collaboration experience because everybody has maybe also one of those documents in its mailbox. So whenever you forward it to a specific team in a specific channel, well, you can get those attachments, the text, the email into a channel, and then begin a real collaboration about that. This is gonna come soon into Teams as well. What's already here available is that you can share from Teams to Outlook, and hopefully we will see that in a few seconds as well. Something that's gonna come as well is the tasks in Team. For those who knows me and who already assisted to my sessions, knows that I already make a joke about how many task engines we have in Office 365. And the answer is like 7 or 8, like Wunderlist, To Do, SharePoint tasks, To Do tasks, Planner tasks, etc., etc. It's a lot. So instead of going and searching for those tasks, you would have all of those tasks coming into Teams. That is also something really I'm looking forward to using it, because I have a bunch of tasks in many different systems, and this would definitely help me on getting my work done. And the last slide before jumping into the demonstration of what Teams can do is that now end users can download their apps from the Power App and upload them into the app catalog of Teams. You just go to the Power Apps Admin Center, select your application, hit on Add to Teams or Export to Teams. You can download the zip file. You can import that into the app catalog through the App Studio of Microsoft. If we have time, I'll be glad to show you that. And then you can just right-click on any app and hit on the pin, and the app will showcase on the left side. So that's it for the very quick slides. Now, let's go into the real experience of how Teams is working and what you can achieve with Teams. Whenever you go in an organization, you're new, you don't know Teams, hopefully the administrator will add you into multiple teams. As I mentioned, a team is a container, and as you can see, I have a customer team, I have a pictures team, an intranet regional director, and I also have a demo site team. And as you can see, a team has multiple channels. A channel which is specific for everyone, and I can have multiple channels where I can give a name. And as you can see, I have like an Amplexer one, F16, Helpdesk V2, QnA, and all of those channels have different tabs, which means that every channel can have his own experience working with the end users. If you don't see any of those teams into your Teams experience, well, you just have to come on the join and create a team, and then you will see that experience. You can create a new team, you can join a team with a code, or you can already join an existing team. In an organization, in this demo environment, you only see like one, but in a real organization, you would be able to see multiple of those teams where you can join. You just have to search for that team. You can use a search bar from here, and then you can just hit on join the team, and then automatically on the left side, you will see that the team will be added into your teams. If you are not able to join a team, or if you don't see a team, well, you can create a new team. If you hit on create a new team here, then you have like two options, the build from scratch and create form. This is what we call the teamify. So if you have a standalone Office 365 group and you want to join that Office 365 group to a team, you can use that one to create a new team or an existing team. So if you want to use the IT conference as a template, you could use this one. The bad thing with that is, and let me show that to you, if I choose the team and I say like, okay, I want to create a team from a team, and I'm choosing the IT conference, this is what people don't really read. It will create everything for you, but it won't copy the messages, the files, and the contents. So you will need to set up the tabs and the connectors. So please don't build any template from that kind of scenarios, because you will lose a bunch of stuff, right? So I'm going to close this, I'm going to discard it, and I'm going to create a new one. Instead of choosing create from, I'm going to from scratch. Then you have three options. Microsoft provides you three options. First of all is the private one, which is a team where people need the permission to join. So the owner and the administrator of that team is going to add you to that team. A public one is like the IT conference, which will show up here, where everybody can join just by hitting join the team. And the org white is a special one, which not everybody can create because it has a lot of impact on the organization. Everyone which is part of the organization will be added into that org white team. It can go up to 5,000 users, and you cannot leave the org white team. The administrator should remove you. That's a big impact, right? So what we will do for continue demo, we'll create a public one. Then it asks for a name, and we will do a Teams mini summit demo, right? I can add a description. I'll skip therefore, and you can add, while he's doing the team now, in the backend, he's creating the SharePoint site, he's creating the Exchange and the OneNote, etc., etc. I can add some people, I can search for people herein. I'm not going to add anybody, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to skip this. And now my team is ready to be used by you and those people who join or that you have been adding into that specific team. You can see you have three dots. Whenever you hit on that, you have multiple options. You can hide a team, right? Then the team will come into the hide section from the teams. Just be aware, if you don't touch a team for 45 days, Microsoft will automatically bring that team into the hidden section. So I don't want to bring that into the hidden section. I'm going to show it. Then that team will automatically come into my team. I can manage my team, add a channel, add a member, leave that team, add it, delete, and get tags or get the link to team. So what we will do is the first one, we will manage that team. Then you have like 5 sections where you can manage your team. You can see the owners and the members and guests. So the member is actually somebody who is part of your organization. A guest is an external user that you have been inviting into your team. Then you will see a list of channels. Here, as you can see, I can't see a lot, but if I go to my demo site and do manage a team, if I go under channels, you will see that I can see my active channels and the one that I've been using and deleting, right? So what I can do is from the active one, just see the name, show them for me, show them for the members. I can see their type, if they're standard or private, and I can see the latest activity or even channels where I had 0 activity. And the biggest advantage with that is, if you like, you can restore any of those channels into your team. As you can see, I got a new one just here, and I restored my channel herein, and you can see even the conversation has been restored, which is tremendously good for an end user perspective. If I come back to my manager team, then the third pane is the settings pane. I can add a picture to my team. I can manage the permissions of my members, where I can enable the channel creation, enable and update the channels, etc., etc. I can check for the guest permissions. I can allow mentions. And this one is the most important one, the team code, right? Remember when you did create or join a team, you could join a team with a code? Well, this is typically where you create the code, is whenever you come to the setting under the team code, by default, there is no code generated for you. But if you hit on generate a code, then your team will get the code. The bad thing with that is you can't add your own code, and that's what Microsoft is providing to you. The only thing you can do is reset that code and get a new code, sharing with your employees, sharing with your modern coworkers so they can join the team. Something new that we have been seeing is the managed tag, something new. So you can create tags into your team, and you can add people on that. So I could say like Teams Mini Summit, and I can add people, and I can say, okay, Gokan is one of those members into that tag. And if I create that, you will see I have a new tag, which is called Teams Mini Summit. And if you come into one of those channels, you can simply use the @ sign and then start writing Teams Mini Summit, and you will see that tag appearing herein. And you can just tag a bunch of people and write your message like, hey, could you please help me? That could be someone. And everybody who is actually part of that tag will be notified and say like, okay, be careful, somebody has mentioned you in a post, please have a look into that. The bad thing with that is the following one. If I do a new ad and I just tag maybe my intranet, or what do I have here? Images. Nope. I'm going to add Gokan, and I can add myself. Let's do Taufik. This one neither. Come on. Okay, strange enough. So what I want to actually mention is, oh, let's maybe try general. But there we go. General, there we go. I can do that. So the bad thing with that is what I try to say is there is actually visually no difference whenever you tag a tag or a theme. The only thing how you can see it whenever you hover on it, well, you can see that it's a tag with one people. So what I try to say to my customers is whenever you create a tag, for those who have been using Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, use the hashtag in front. And you could say Teams Mini Summit, just here, and then add some people and say like, okay, this one is for Gokan, and I'm gonna add Gokan here in my tenant. I create it, and then you can see I have a new tag with the hashtag. I'm closing this. I'm gonna close this as well. If I do add hashtag, now visually I have something different. It has nothing technically to do, but from now on I can see, just because I have the hashtag in front, that this is a tag. And now if I tag the general tab, now I can clearly say the first one is a tag, the second one is a channel. So this is one of those common practices I'm sharing with you, that whenever you create a tag and add some people into it, try to use hashtag in front to make it visually clear for you. If I come here, so we have seen the hide, we have seen the tags. You can get the link to the team, which will create a link for you just here, where you can paste into your browser and use. One of the things that I'm always using is this one, adding a new channel. So whenever you add a new channel, you will get, as you can see on the left side here, a new channel, and let's call it the Teams Mini Summit. Then you can choose if you want to have a standard or a private one. I'm not going to go deep dive into the private one. I want Mike to do that. So let's go for a standard one. I'm going to create that. And what you can see is I will have a new channel called Teams Mini Summit. And then I will have, and hopefully the provisioning engine was fast enough to, there we go. It will load the SharePoint experience where I can actually add some files, collaborate on files as like in SharePoint. The good thing with that is I have a button to go directly to SharePoint, and I can modify my view. And what that literally means is that metadata is back into Microsoft Teams. Let's add here in a new file, the Word experience. I'm going to call it Gokans first document. I'm creating a Word file. Now Teams will create a Word file for me. It will store it into SharePoint. And now it will open the Word experience where I can just begin with writing some text. And I will just write tests and close that file. Now it's saving it for me very easily. I have uploaded my first document into my specific channel. Hopefully the save will not take that much time. The document has been created, and you can see my document is just here. So what we will do is we will add a new channel, and here is the magic trick actually. If I give the same name, Teams Mini Summit, then Teams will say, hey, be careful, that channel name has already been taken. You can't use that. So what I will do is, like everybody is doing, using an emoji. So whenever I add an emoji, now Teams will say, oh, that's cool, he has a different name, so you can create that. So we will add that. And now in the backend, Teams will create a new channel, and it will create, again, the SharePoint experience. But ta-da! The bad thing with that is, oh, wow, I have a document. How is that possible, right? Because I remember creating that document in the first channel, and I'm not supposed to have that document into my channel because it should be separate ones, right? But what really happens in the backend is if I go to my files experience and open this in SharePoint, now what you will see is something very strange. I'm going to first sign in into my account. And within the SharePoint, in the SharePoint site, in the modern site, in the shared documents, if I click on my documents, what you will see, there we go, I have only like one folder. We know by experience that every channel has a specific folder into the shared documents into your SharePoint. But now he only has one folder, simply because the engine behind Teams and SharePoint actually didn't understand the ASCII code of that emoji, and they said, oh, we can translate it, and we already have a Teams Mini Summit in the SharePoint, so we will use that one instead of creating a new one. So let's go back into my team and do a new add channel. If I do like Teams Mini Summit again, he will say that has been already taken. I'm opening my emoji box again, and now I'm adding a third one. He says, okay, that's a different one. You can add that. I'm adding this, right? So what would you expect? That this one would also show that document, but strange enough, he doesn't, because now he could translate that emoji into an ASCII code. And if you come back into your documents and I do a refresh on the document library, then what you will see is now he could translate the word, and I have a folder where I have that document. Always be careful with emojis and what you do with channel names, because it has some implications in the backend. Something I really want to show is for those who come from the SharePoint era, the co-authoring experience in SharePoint was, and please, if there is somebody from Microsoft in the call, it was a horrible experience. But with Teams, it's so easy, and let me show that to you. If I open the document, this one, with Word Online, I will get this experience into my browser, and if I come back to my Word file and hit on open and say like edit in Teams, now I'm actually editing the file twice, one from my Teams, and I'm going to just make this smaller, and one from my Word Online, right? If I hit something here, I should be seeing the same text appearing on my left side. I'll just give them a few seconds, and there you go. I even didn't write anything, and I can see that Gokan is busy on that specific line, and you can see that that text has been copied here as well. And what I really love is that the geo will follow on the Teams experience as much as I move from left to right. So I can go and see what the coworker is doing from a minimum space and see, okay, he is busy on that part of the word. This is like how co-authoring is working. And if I just say like, oh, this is not good, and you will see that the not good will also come on the right side in the Word Online experience. This is how co-authoring is working, only in Word Online and in Teams. Don't do that in the fat client in Word. If you
Gokan,
come
this is
on,
Jocelyn from Canyon.
yes,
I don't mean to interrupt. You have about 20 minutes, and so I know that you said you want to do a lot of questions. So I'm just giving you a heads up on time and an opportunity
okay,
to answer some of those soon.
cool, no worries. Wonderful. So if we continue and move on, you can see that you have like this section just here on the bottom where you can manage your teams. You can see every team you have. You can see the archived ones. I have one which is archived, which is here. And what you can do is hit on the three dots and then hit on archive team, and that team will be archived. So if I go and say like the IT conference should be, or just do the new one, the Teams mini one, archive this one, we can do that. And then it says, oh, you want to freeze this one? Please always select this one as well to make your SharePoint site read-only as well. And now what you will see is that I will get a new icon on my Teams mini summit, and that my Teams is now being archived, and I cannot reply or write anything into that specific team. We'll move forward. I'm going to use a demo site one here, one where you can actually start a new conversation. Please don't be like everyone start a conversation like this. This is Gokan, and then don't reply hello Gokan in a new thread. Always try to use that reply button just herein and not to start a new thread. If you hit on the format button just here, you can add a new subject, like I have a question, and you can state the question just herein. You can make this as a new conversation, or you can make a new announcement. And then if you say like we have a new CEO into your announcement, you can even change the moderation and say like only me and the moderators can reply on that. You can add a color or an image. To make it simple, as we have no much time, I'm going to choose a color. You can change the color, and you can add this into multiple channels. So you can select your channel herein. I'm going to minimize this, open the demo site, and I'm saying like, okay, please publish that announcement into every single channel you have. If I post this, what you will see is I'm getting a new announcement with the new night icon just here, and I have the same experience into every single channel. There we go. I have this one just here. And the good thing is you can see that there is actually also a button, an icon that shows that it has been shared everywhere. The bad thing with that, and then please don't get me wrong, is if you have a comment, like comment from Teams Mini Summit, the comment TMS, those commands are actually not replicated into different channels. So the command is specific per channel. So this has the same experience as a reply to all into an email, which I try to avoid as much as possible. If you come back again here down, is you can start a new conversation. You have multiple apps that you can connect, where you can add an image, where you can get Wikipedia search, where you can even add YouTube videos. What we will do now is I'm going to add a new message. And I'm going to call bonjour, je m'appelle Gokan et je viens de la France. There we go. I did publish something new, something French. And with the COVID-19 and the mobile first, cloud first era, we are breaking silos. We know that we have a bunch of organizations everywhere in the world, and not everybody's main language is English, so everybody can talk another language. And this colleague is speaking French because his English is bad. What you could do is hitting on the three dots, and you get also a bunch of options here on the right side. You can save the message, edit it, delete it. The thing that I mentioned to you, you can even share this to Outlook. If I hit on that, you will get a new experience, a new pop-up where you can give the email address, and you can share that conversation to your email. It's loading. There we go. I can just select the CC, the BCC, and I can see my message. But what's really, really interesting is the following one, is the immersive, these are translate. I can use the translate services from Azure, which is connected to my Teams. And now you can see a new nice icon which says, okay, this has been translated. And he took my text in French and said, hello, my call is Gokan and I come from France. He cannot translate as a human being. It's still a robot. It's still AI behind the scene. So even if the text doesn't sound 100% correct, I can understand what Gokan tries to say me thanks to the translate option. If I hit and reply something like this, dog, hamburger, and Coca, because we aim to say Coca to cola in France. So what you can do, instead of translating this, you can use the immersive reader option, which is actually something that Microsoft Teams had bring from the EDU for the students. So I'm going to skip all of those tips. You can see your text herein, and you have like 3 sections. The first one is the very basic one. You can change the text size, you can change the font, the theme, etc., etc. Nothing really revolutionary. You can see the nouns, the verb, adjectives, adverbs. You can, enable and disable them, which is fantastic for students, so they can understand every single word. What really fascinates me is the picture dictionary. If you hit on a word, the picture dictionary will show you what the word means in English, and you can even listen to how you pronounce the word dog. If I hit on hamburger, you will see the hamburger word. But the bad thing is, if I hit on Coca, he doesn't understand it because it's called a cola, a Coke. But in France, we say Coca. So it's mainly English oriented, so there is not that much multilingual. But the good thing with that is you can also translate this to any language. So if I go to Turkish and select the Turkish one, and I'm saying like, okay, translate the whole document, and now he translated every single word into Turkish. And if I hit on that, he doesn't show me the picture because this word is in Turkish, but then he shows me what it means into English. So this is the immersive reader, something really interesting, really cool to use. You have a bunch of those applications just here. You can use them, but what you can also use is the intelligent bot framework. I did create a bot just here, which is called the Teams QnA XYZ, which has a very complicated name. Don't ask me why. But you can replace any FAQ. You can replace any difficult thing in Teams with your bot and ask them questions. And one of the most important question, I think, is the following one. How sexy is Gokan? You can ask that question to your bot, and your bot will intercept that question, try to understand the question, and then he will reply to you. And then he will say, oh, there, he's very, very sexy. But why did he say that? Very easily, because there is a website which is called QnAmaker.ai, which is a cognitive service under Azure, which you can use. And you can, I'm going to just avoid to sign in and to show you that, but it's just a service where you just create a knowledge base and where you just ask a question and give the response to that. And one of those questions I did ask also herein is, what is the capital of USA? And always don't forget to call your bot, otherwise you're talking alone. So I'm gonna call my bot herein and say, what is the capital of the USA? And now he is again checking in his knowledge base if the question appears into that, and it will show me the response. So what you could do is use QnAmaker.ai, the cognitive services into Azure, and replace some questions that maybe the help desk is receiving so much, and give them that ability to use them into Teams. One of those things that I also want to showcase before moving to the Power Platform is this one. You also have DLP into Teams, meaning data loss prevention. If you post something which is sensitive information, such as a credit card number, Teams will intercept that text and it will say, oh, be careful, that message will be blocked. And now it's blocked. Why? Because it's confidential information. And what you could do is you can define your policy and ask to the people to override and send with a justification, override and send and report to my admin, or even block their access to not share it and report to the admin. So you can do that. I'm not a developer, and I could do the cognitive services and the DLP without any Google search within a few minutes. It's so easy to configure your Teams for making it so easy to use for everybody. One of those options that you can use is the Meet Now option into Teams. And now you can start a new meeting and you can say, okay, I have a new meeting. And you can start a meeting directly from a channel, from a team. Then you can see my face. Hi there. I'm going to just turn off the camera so we are not losing our speed. But what's tremendously good with Teams is that you can have meetings with a lot of people into your channel, into your team, even with external people, but that you can use Whiteboard meeting very fastly and very quickly. The main advantage of Whiteboard is that not only the presenter is presenting and drawing stuff, but also the attendees can join the drawing and do stuff in the whiteboard. So take the example, and my apologies for all the bad drawing skills I have. Take the example that we have a database which has a connection to the cloud, and it has a connection to our legacy data center as well. So we agree on that very fast, very quickly, and then we just say, okay, the drawing is done, and we are stopping the presentation. It's done. If I go to my window and open the Whiteboard application, I could be the CEO of the organization, and I couldn't assist to the meeting. I can very simply go to the Whiteboard meeting application and then see what people actually did draw during that meeting. So we'll wait a few seconds. Normally a new pink one should appear in a few seconds because it would intercept. There we go. You have a new pink one coming into my application. He knows that there was a new meeting, a new Whiteboard meeting. I'm opening it. As a CEO, I couldn't go to the meeting. It shouldn't take that long. There we go. And now, as a CEO, as the owner, as XYZ, I can just continue to draw on that meeting. What's really, really interesting with Whiteboard is you can add formal drawings. Like this could be a drawing of the last time, and you could argue and say like, hey guys, this is not good. This is how it should be. You could say, Gokan, it's just an image. It's not revolutionary. But what if you hit on ink grab? Now AI behind Teams, behind Whiteboard, will transform that image into a real drawing. So you can just continue on that drawing and say like, oh, be careful, that's not true. This is how it should be, XYZ. And again, sorry for drawing skills. And you can just continue the drawing. And everybody who will connect on that drawing and on the meeting again will see the changes that you have done into your team. The last example I'm going to show you, I'm going to just hang up here, is that you can use actually Power Platform to do something really amazing. And I'm going to connect into my Power App, and I'm going to create a new application. There we go. I create a new Canvas app from blank, and I'm going to call it the Teams Mini Summit. And hopefully I will be done in 4 minutes. I'm creating a new app. I'm calling it a Teams Mini Summit, and I will use the Power App experience combined with Power Automate, post some dynamic content into a channel in Teams. So Power Apps is getting ready. It's getting open. There we go. And I'm going to insert a new button herein. Very ugly, very fast. There we go. And I'm going to call it Send Feedback. Okay. And what I'm going to say is that button has an action, and that action will come from Power Automate. So now that button will open to me the new, every flow that I have into my tenancy, but I want to create a new one. So now I left the Teams experience to the Power App. Now I'm moving to the flow experience. Now it will say to me like, Gokan, which one do you want to use? We have a bunch of those templates. I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to just select one, random, because we will delete every scenario that it fits into it. So it says like you have a manual action and a notification will be sent. Fair enough. What we will do is we'll just select that, we'll continue, and now we come into the flow designer of Power Automate. As I mentioned, I'm going to delete this, right? This has been deleted. If I add a new step, I can search for any action. And if I hit on Teams, you can see a bunch of those actions. And normally there's a V3 post a message. I can post a message. And now we will use my credentials, my token, to see where I have access. And normally I have a demo site. There we go. And with the same token, you will check if I have access to the channel. Yes, I have. So I'm going to the general one. And I can, no feedback, thank you. And what I can do is I can have a static content. The session was, this could be a static one, and I can also have a dynamic content. I could bring any information from Power App into my my team. So I will call this Teams Mini Summit Flow, and I'm going to save this. Very simple. Hopefully this time it will work because the saving in Word correct. Oh, well, wonderful. So I did save. It's okay. I'm coming back to my Power App, and I just have to wait a few seconds, and you can see that the flow will appear here. So I'm going to just hit on that, and you can see that the flow or the Power Automate will be linking the flow to my button. But then it will give an error because we said there is static content, but also dynamic content. So what we will do is we will insert a label. There we go, just here. We will just move that to make it better looking. And we will change the text to awesome, right? And then I just click here, and he's expecting a value from me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give the label.1.text. So he's going to take the value, which is from here, just here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit on play. Last minute, hopefully it won't crash. You can see the button is grayed out. It's running. It has run. If I come to my channel, and there we go. This session was amazing, and it's 50, and I think I'm done with the session. Okay.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. You covered so much in such a short amount of time. And naturally, you have a ton of questions. And thank you, Scott Restivo from Crow Canyon, for answering most of those behind the scenes. But everyone should be able to see all those answers as they were coming in. Scott, can you ask? Do we're really tight on time, but I would love to get maybe one or two questions to Gokan.
So one is about archiving teams. If can you archive information? Is it available? I mean, also I guess along with that is, if you have a conversation in Teams, can it be archived in Outlook just like in IM is in Skype? I mean, it's, you don't really get those in Outlook, do you? The Teams conversations, do you?
No, I'm not aware that you can archive a conversation into a channel.
Right. And then there was something about the best practice when to create a new team versus a new channel. Maybe Mike will cover that in the next webinar, what's coming up, because he's covering channels. But
yes,
that was a question.
I will let him manage that one.
Yeah, channels are a world in itself, and that's why we're having the next webinar. And there's just a lot of other questions. What's going to happen? We're running out of the time due to having to start the next one. But keep sending questions. If once we end the webinar, you can send them to questions@crowcanyon.com, and we'll try and answer as best as you can. There's a huge amount of interest in Teams, and the range of questions is really amazing to me. They're great questions. I'd like to be able to answer them all, but I want to do research on it and make sure I get you the correct information. Talk with Gokan, talk with Joel, talk with Mike, and make sure we're getting you the right info on all these different things. We're going to put up the recordings and landing page after this. And we're looking now, so a lot of questions on record management and governance, and we're looking to host a webinar in maybe 1 or 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks on that, on governance on Teams in itself as a topic in and of itself. So stay tuned for that. So we're at Crow Canyon here. We're going to do a lot with Teams, bots. We do a lot with bots. We're going to work with governance, get you information as much as we can. But as far as the company itself, we do create bots for Teams, Crow Canyon. We have, people asking about that. Azure Cognitive Service, Q&A Maker. That stimulated several questions, Gokan, when people talk about Q&A Maker. When you talked about it, I mean. So there's a lot of interest in how Teams can be used in many, many different ways. It's exciting to see so many people interested, asking questions, looking to use it. So what we're going to need to do then, if I can just see if there's 1 or 2 I can toss to you at the last minute before we go to the next webinar and see. Yeah, people are interested on a government cloud also, private channel. Yeah, all right. A lot of it is on channel, so I think that'll be addressed in the next question, Gokan, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm maybe the bad person for government questions because I'm not from the US.
Right.
So yeah, the channels one is, I think, Mike's plate. So thank you so much for inviting me to this webinar. I really enjoyed presenting. I really hope that attendees learned at least something that they will take from the webinar. And thank you so much, Crow Canyon, for this webinar. It has been a blast.